In this video I will talk about some basic about how to choose a good knife for outdoor life. In the end of this video I will also show you the 3 knives I used mostly today. My name is Matti, I live as a wilderness guide and dog musher up in northern Sweden. Here I run a small guide company together with my partner and girlfriend Stina. So outdoor life is actually what we're doing for a living. What is the best knife for outdoor life? And what kind of different model exist? Which things it's important to look at when you choose a good outdoor knife? In this video we're going to look closer at all these things. I'm not a knife nerd expert, but I've been living with a knife as an everyday tool during my whole life. In this video I will go through some important aspects of knife as weight, durability, sharpness, price and so on. I will also talk about different categories of knife for different needs. The first thing I want to talk about is weight of the knife. Some knives are really small and tiny, like this. This is 30 gram. This fit perfect into the pocket, it fit into an ultra lightweight backpack, and a lot of ultra light backpackers actually even don't carry this one. They take this away also because they don't need the knife. Then you have more heavy knife like this. This is 500 gram. So your need of the knife will actually be very important. Are you just going to cut some bread with it? Then this is maybe enough. If you need to kill some polar bear or destroy some tanks, then you need maybe some tactical survival knife like that. Or if you're going to cross Canada with only one tool and you want to bring a knife, then you need, this is not good enough probably. And then another thing that's super important is the possibility to sharpen the blade by yourself. A lot of these knives that are a little bit more high-tech, tactical survival something knives, they are really difficult to sharpen the blade, almost impossible, because the steel is so hard. These knives comes very sharp and they stay very sharp very long time. So you don't need to sharpen them so much, but it's difficult to make it by yourself. Then we have another type of knife, like this one. If you look at this blade, this is a lot of carbon in it. And this one is super easy to sharpen by yourself, but when you use it, it will get unsharp very quickly. So you also had to sharpen it really regular, because this iron is much softer. Another problem with this iron is that this iron you had to keep it clean, because otherwise you get rust on it. We can see that on this knife. This one have rust on the blade because I have used it and then put it back and it have been wet. And this also have a kind of steel that is possible to sharpen by yourself. And now number 3, the durability. How strong is the knife? If we look at something like this, of course you can't use this as a bushcraft knife, probably. If you want doing bushcraft and you want to use the knife as an axe, then you need something more like a tactical knife with iron going through the hole here. I don't know the English name of it, but the iron should go through the whole shaft. And it should be really strong in the backside also. If you have other knives, like foldable knives, they are not so strong. These ones break down if you push a little bit too hard. And I know that some of these army knives, if you put them in like this, in something, you can stand on them without breaking them. If you do something like that with a knife like this, it will break down probably. So some of the knives are much stronger than other knives. But a strong knife is also more heavy than the other ones usually. So the important thing is that you look what is your need. Are you going to cross Canada alone with only one tool? Then you maybe need something like this. Are you going to have it every day in the pocket and you want to be very lightweight packed? This might be something like this or that one. Then the next thing we had to look at is the price. The price can be from $10 up to $6,000 or even more for knives. So here it's also important that you look what do you need. Some of the cheaper knives, like this one, is a $10 knife. They are really good, they make the job a little bit boring, But if you crash it, you afford it, then you just get a new one. If you go to knives like this one that are much more details on, and this is not made for carry out on daily basis, absolutely not, then you don't afford, or you will cry if you lose it. You will be so sad. So, and then you have everything between this. So some of the knives, most expensive, that are not for use, are for collectors. So if you are a collector, then it's totally different story for you. But other knives, when you use them for daily basis, it should be a knife that you afford to lose. Then it's a good outdoor knife. So now we're going to look a little bit more in some different categories of knives. And the first one I want to talk about is a very classic cheap knife. And then we come to this category. That's the handcrafter's knife, or something like this that's made really cheap, plastic. This one is made of plastic. They are really good and very durable, and you afford to lose them. They usually have a classic design, and you find them with different blades. You find them with a blade that you can sharpen, like this one, these two, and you find them with blades that's impossible to sharpen also. Then we're going to look at the handcrafted knife. And I have 3 of them with me, actually more, but this 3 one is what I'm thinking about. Up in Jokkmokk, it's very easy for us to find things like this. This one is made by some reindeer herders up in Kiruna area, and I got it when I was really young, and I used it a lot. These knives are usually very beautiful, and they are really good outdoor knives, and you can make them sharp by yourself, because you usually don't find this one with some of these blades that you can't sharpen by yourself. This one is bought from a guy in Jokkmokk, and he called Birger. You can search for Birger's knives. If I find his webpage, I put the link down here. Really good knives for a good price, and you can use them outside. And this is a very old knife I used when I moved to Jokkmokk, 1991, 92, something like that. And if you don't lose them, if you don't destroy them, they follow you for the whole life. So this one I stopped using outdoors now, but I still sometimes put it in my backpack if I need an extra knife. So that was the handcrafted knives. And then we look into the foldable knives. So then this is a totally brand new knife that we bought. They are not super expensive and very lightweight, 30 gram. This one I saw that one of our guests on one tour had, so I get inspired and I had to get one of them for ourselves. But you find them in different models. This one is from Martini, and you can sharpen it by yourself. This one is from Leatherman, and this is possible to sharpen, a little bit more difficult. And this is a Gerber, really crappy, cheap one. It looked good, but it's really not good. The good thing with a foldable knife is that if you go backpacking, this one fit into your pocket. You can put it in the pocket on the backpack or in your pocket of your pants. You know, when you go backpacking, you usually have this hanging in the belt, and your hip belt comes here. And that makes problem for the hip belt, and it's very frustrating and irritating to carry this type of knife sometimes during backpacking tour. Then a foldable knife fits straight into your pocket, and it's really good to carry on backpacking tours. I also carry foldable knives very much at home because I'm out working outside my house or doing things, and then I go shopping, and if I have something like that, I don't like to carry this open, and you're not actually allowed in Sweden to. But something small foldable knife, it's a tool, and yeah, you can have it in the pocket more or less, so no one care about that. Now we come to the next group, and that's multi-tools. You have the most famous brand is probably Leatherman, like this one. These ones have a knife. All of them have knives. This one have actually 2 knives on this. This one, Leatherman, is really difficult to sharpen. That's exactly the same with the Gerber. They come in many different models. They are difficult to sharpen. You had to carry a lot of other tools, so they get a little bit heavy. And I don't carry this so much during hiking trips. But in wintertime, when I do snowmobile tours and when I do dog sled tours, and when there is things I need to repair, this is a really good thing to carry. Then I carry this on daily basis. There is another kind of multi-tool also with knives, and that's a Swiss Army knife like this one. And I carry this very much also, because here you have a knife, you have a scissor, and you have some small tools that you need, and it's really nice to have in the pocket or in the backpack, in the camera bag or something like that. So the Swiss Army knife, it's not a super good knife, but it's a really nice everyday tool. So next category is the survival knife, or the tactical knife, or the bushcraft knife. And with this knife, the blade is very wide over here, and it's not really good for making firewood with, like that. You can use it as an axe and bank on it and it will not destroy. This blade goes the whole way through the shaft and come out here. So the whole thing is really, really strong. I don't use it as a bushcraft knife. I use it very much like a dirty knife. I use it for taking away the ice from the snowmobile if I've been into water. I use it for cutting dog food, a little bit like firewood and so on. So for me, this is more a dirty knife that I bring during the winter. In summertime, I very, very rarely bring this. This comes also with one of these fire steel. You see, a really good fire steel, and it's sharp on the back side, so you don't need to use the edge. You can use the back side. Really good. So this is the knife that a lot of people who are bushcrafters and so, they use this kind of knives. This one comes from Yacht Kit, and we put the link down there. And this one comes from Fällkniven, a company in northern Sweden who make knives for Swedish Army actually. The next category is fishing knife. This is a Finnish one from Rapala, and you have Martini, you have a lot of different brands of this, and Mura maybe also have. These fishing knives have a very long blade, very thin blade, and this is very soft. And that's good when you make fillet of the fish. This knife I only bring with me out on tours if I go canoeing and I know I'm going to fishing a lot, or if I know that I'm going to eat a lot of fish. Otherwise I have it at home. Very, very good knife for a very special need. This is not the everyday knife. And that's the same with the next category, that's hunting knives. You have many, many different kind of hunting knives for different kind of use. And I will not talk about hunting knives here, but that's also a category that exists. One more category, and that's a chopper. It's a big, quite heavy knife with a quite sturdy blade. This tradition, I think it comes from northern Norway on the tundra, because in this area where I am, we usually carried axe in northern Sweden. But on the tundra, a lot of people have been carrying a big knife. You can chop branches and you can chop thinner firewood with this. It is a little bit like a machete, but much smaller, of course. For me, it's really, really good for chopping thin branches that hanging over the trail in winter time. It cuts them really well, and I use it very much during the winter. Dog food, branches, some firewood, and this one should be straight for my need, because if this is straight I can use it for taking away ice under the skis on the runner on the dog sled. So then you understand I don't use this for my sandwiches, because these have been into things that are not so, things that you don't want on your sandwich. So this is the chopper, or huggare. And we had to talk about one more category, and that's knives that you collect, and knives with memories. And this knife, I got it from a customer. He made it by himself, so it's actually part of our logo here on the blade. It's so many, many beautiful details on this knife. Really, really nice, good looking knife. And I will not use it. It's too nice, it's too beautiful. And it exists a lot of this Sami handcraft. This is not one of them, but it exists a lot of Sami handcraft knives and handcraft knives that are for collectors actually. And now let's talk about my favorites. The first knife I would mention as a favorite is this classic knife. I I carry very much a knife in my belt on canoe tours, not so much on hiking tours because I don't want to have it under my hip belt. But on canoe tours I carry it when I'm fishing because this blade is super easy to sharpen. It's not too long blade, it's good for making food and so on. A really good knife, and also very, very good looking knife. I like this very much, I use it very much. My second knife that I use a lot is this one. It's very, very small. The blade is probably 6-7 centimeters or something like that. You can't cut one of this big sausage with it, you have to cut around it a little bit. But when it comes with this, you can sit on it and you can't hurt yourself with it like that. They are really, really affordable. I don't remember the price, but we put links to all the equipment that we know down below, so you can click on them and you can find them on some internet shop. So I very often carry a few of them if I'm out with groups. I put them in the food boxes or food bags because this is something that should be around the food. Suddenly someone need to open a package, someone need to cut a slice of cheese or something like that. So this is really good knives for food and very lightweight. Very good knife. And the third knife I use a lot is actually a foldable knife. And the one I have very often now in my pocket is this one. It's a Leatherman, and you can put it on a hook like this, but you can also put the hook away. So I very often carry this folded like this in my pocket. I have been carrying this one very much also, and I have been carrying the Swiss Army knife also. But right now this small Leatherman is my favorite, and I more or less always have it in my pocket. That was the 3 knives I've used most today. That don't mean that that's the best knife, but that's the knife I like to use most. The best knife could be something else, and that's a different story. I will make a video later about the knife setup I use during the winter, because that's different. The knife setup during the winter is for different need, so I will talk more about that in another video. That was all from me today. Thank you for watching, and now you should go out, do some fun stuff in the forest or nature, cooking coffee or swimming in the water before it's freezing. I don't know what you like to do. And next week we have a new video on the channel, hopefully. See you then. Ciao!